Imagine waking up one day with the unsettling thought that the life you've been living isn't entirely your own. That every choice you've made, every belief you hold, and even the desires that fuel you may not have come from the core of your being, but rather from societal expectations, conditioning, and unseen influences surrounding you. Take a moment to reflect. How much of your identity is a true reflection of your authentic self, and how much of it is a carefully constructed persona shaped by external forces? How often do you feel as though you're merely acting out a script, following a role that was written by your upbringing, by society, or by the subtle fears that whisper in your mind? Today, we embark on an exploration of one of Carl Jung's most profound insights. The idea that life does not truly begin until you discover your true self. But what does it mean to find yourself? Is it simply about gaining self-awareness? Or is there a deeper, more transformative journey awaiting you? Stay with me, because as we unveil the hidden forces shaping your identity, you'll come to understand why most people never truly find themselves, and how you can break free. The final realization we will explore is the most powerful of all. It has the potential to transform not only the way you see yourself, but also how you interact with the world around you. Carl Gustav Jung was a pioneer of depth psychology, an intellectual who went beyond traditional theories of the mind to uncover the vast, hidden realms of the unconscious. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Jung did not believe mental well-being was simply about adapting to societal norms. Instead, he saw psychological growth as a journey toward individuation, the process of becoming one's most authentic self. But here's the truth. Most people never embark on that journey. They remain trapped in a version of themselves sculpted by external influences. They live according to expectations without ever questioning if their path aligns with who they truly are. They seek validation from the world, believing happiness lies in approval, success, or the ability to fit in. Yet deep inside, there is a quiet restlessness, an unshakable feeling that something is missing. Jung believed that true life begins when we stop running from ourselves. But before we can discuss what it means to truly find yourself, we must first examine what prevents most people from doing so. From the moment we enter the world, we are conditioned. We are given names, identities, and predefined roles. We are taught what is acceptable and what is not, what is rewarded and what is punished. This process happens so subtly and gradually that we rarely stop to question it. We adapt. We conform. And over time, we learn to suppress parts of ourselves that don't align with the expectations placed upon us. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you freely expressed yourself, only to be met with disapproval? Perhaps you were told to be practical, to stop being too sensitive, or that certain emotions and desires were inappropriate. Slowly, you learned to hide those aspects of yourself, to tuck them away where no one could see them. And in doing so, you began to construct a mask. Jung called this mask the persona. It is the face we present to the world, the one that allows us to function in society, navigate relationships, and gain acceptance. But here's the problem. The more we identify with this mask, the more we disconnect from our real selves. We start believing that we are the persona, forgetting that something deeper lies beneath it. And then there's the other side of the coin, the shadow. If the persona is what we show the world, the shadow is what we hide from it. It consists of everything we have rejected or suppressed. Our fears, our unspoken desires, our vulnerabilities, and even our hidden strengths. But here's the fascinating part. The shadow doesn't simply disappear. It doesn't vanish just because we refuse to acknowledge it. Instead, it operates beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional reactions. The parts of ourselves that we reject don't go away. They manifest in unconscious ways, often through projection. Have you ever intensely disliked someone without fully understanding why? Have certain behaviors in others ever triggered a strong emotional reaction within you? Jung believed that when we are disturbed by qualities in others, it is often because those very traits exist within us, hidden in our own shadow. But what if I told you that within the shadow lies the key to self-discovery? That the parts of yourself you have ignored and suppressed are not your enemies but the missing pieces of your wholeness. Jung's great insight was this. Psychological growth is not about erasing the shadow. It is about integrating it. It is about looking into the depths of your unconscious and confronting what you have long denied. Because when you do, you unlock a profound source of personal power, authenticity, and freedom. This is where the real journey begins. Are you ready to confront the truth of who you are? To break free from the illusions that have shaped you? Because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. And it will open the door to a life that is truly your own. Well, imagine standing at the edge of an uncharted world within you, a realm where your truest essence resides, beyond the conditioned layers of identity you've carried for so long. If the first part of our journey was about recognizing the masks, the shadows, and the hidden forces shaping your life, then this next step is about something even greater, the full embodiment of who you were always meant to be. Most people experience a disconnect between their current self and their potential. They sense there is more within them, yet they remain tethered to patterns of doubt, hesitation, and fear. Why? Because transformation demands that we confront the unknown. And the unknown is terrifying. But here is a truth that Jung and many great thinkers before him understood. True growth does not come from seeking security or comfort. It arises when we stand face to face with uncertainty, willing to embrace it as part of our evolution. What if the life you desire is not something to be achieved, but rather something to be uncovered? What if the wisdom, the strength, and the purpose you seek have been waiting within you all along, hidden beneath the weight of conditioned beliefs? Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole. It is not simply self-improvement. It is self-realization. A deep merging of all aspects of who you are, the light and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious. Yet most people resist this process. Why? Because individuation requires you to step beyond the comfort of the familiar, to dismantle the illusions that have kept you safe yet unfulfilled. Think of the journey of the hero in every great story. There comes a moment when they must leave behind the old world, when they must step beyond their fears and face the trials that shape them into something new. This is the same journey you must take within yourself. We've explored the concept of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we reject or suppress. But knowing your shadow is not enough. You must be willing to engage with it, to understand its lessons and integrate it into your life. Consider the emotions you try to avoid. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, fear. These are not enemies, but signals, each one pointing to a deeper truth, a hidden part of yourself longing to be acknowledged. When you make peace with your shadow, you unlock a level of personal power and authenticity that is rare in this world. You no longer live in reaction to external forces. You become the creator of your own path. Jung taught that our behaviors are often influenced by deep-rooted archetypes, universal patterns of human experience. Have you ever noticed yourself falling into repetitive cycles? Perhaps you always end up in the same kind of relationships, or face the same challenges no matter how much you try to change. This is because archetypes operate beneath the surface of our awareness, shaping our desires, fears, and behaviors. But here's the good news. You are not bound by them. The moment you become conscious of these patterns, you gain the power to rewrite your story. You are not just the hero. You are also the storyteller. You can redefine the narratives that have shaped you, choosing paths that align with your deepest truth. Jung also spoke of the anima and animus, the inner masculine and feminine energies that exist within every person. These forces are not about gender but about balance. The anima represents intuition, emotion, and deep creativity. The animus represents logic, strength, and structured action. When these forces are out of harmony, we experience inner conflict. A person overly identified with their logical side may suppress their emotions, leading to disconnection. Someone overly identified with their emotions may struggle to take decisive action. But when we integrate both, when we learn to honor all aspects of ourselves, we step into a level of wholeness that radiates into every part of our lives. At the core of Jung's teachings is the idea that the ego, our sense of separate self, is both necessary and limiting. The ego gives us identity, but it also creates division. Most people believe they are a fixed entity, a set personality moving through life. But what if that's not true? What if the self is not static, but fluid? Not limited, but expansive? This is where the deepest transformation happens. When you realize that you are not just the roles you play, the thoughts you think, or the past experiences you've had. You are something beyond all of that. Imagine letting go of the need to define yourself. Imagine stepping into a space of pure potential, where you are free to evolve, adapt, and create without limitation. So where do you go from here? How do you take what you've learned and apply it to your life in a meaningful way? Here are 4 powerful steps to guide your next phase of transformation. Radical self-awareness. Begin observing yourself deeply. Notice your thoughts, your reactions, your emotional triggers. Ask yourself, who is thinking this? Who is feeling this? The more you observe, the more you detach from old patterns. Shadow integration. Instead of avoiding uncomfortable emotions, explore them. What are they trying to teach you? What parts of yourself have you been suppressing? Bring them into the light with curiosity and acceptance. Breaking archetypal cycles. Look at the recurring themes in your life. What patterns keep repeating? Where do they come from? Once you identify them, you can choose new responses. Shifting the course of your journey. Expanding beyond the ego. Practice seeing yourself as something more than your past, your fears, or your beliefs. Meditate, reflect, and open yourself to the possibility that your identity is limitless. The greatest illusion is the belief that you must find yourself. The truth is, you were never lost. You have always been here, beneath the layers of conditioning, waiting to be fully realized. Now the choice is yours. Will you continue living within the old story? Or will you step forward into the vast, infinite potential of who you truly are? Because life does not truly begin until you embrace the fullness of yourself. And now, you know the way.